From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Investigators say arson is the cause of a Belgrade structure fire that devastated a family-owned car wash. I'm Gabby Crevitt, and I'll have all the latest details coming up.
And technology making great strides. Now some calling for developing it to stop drunk driving. We'll take a closer look at that as well.
Well, good morning, Bozeman and Butte. I have been elected to say hello to you each half hour this morning because Chet is so disgusted with the snow.
I just want to say Merry Christmas.
Right.
It's lovely. There's more snow on the patio than there was at Christmas.
I wanted to see the Christmas lights out on the tree on the patio. That's all that's missing right now.
We picked up just shy of 6 inches on the tabletop, just shy of 3 inches on the ground. That's just here at the studio. And that came between 1 and 3:30 this morning. It was amazing. Some heavy snow at times. We've had some backups along I-90. It looks like traffic's moving for the most part, but there are some slick spots as you're heading out this morning. We'll leave some extra caution and maybe take some time, shake those apple trees. Get rid of some of that extra snow that's on there. This is going to be a problem for us. The heaviest moisture is done for now. We have another batch coming a little later into the morning toward the noon hour and early afternoon. That'll likely be a rain-snow mix for the valleys, snow in the mountains. Temperature struggle will be into the 30s for daytime highs today, both east and west of the divide. Slick conditions this morning. We're going to talk more about conditions coming up in just a few minutes.
Take it slow.
Please.
Thank you, Matt. Well, earlier this week, MTN News reported the Rocky Mountain Car Wash off Jackrabbit Lane in Belgrade caught fire. Multiple agencies responded early Sunday morning.
MTN's Gabby Crevitt has been following this story since the start and tells us the Central Valley Fire Department now has ruled it as arson caused.
The Rocky Mountain Car Wash was slated to open in early June, but a fire that devastated the building is now being investigated as arson and has set the family-owned business way back.
I would say, like, all the words to describe it would be disturbing, disgusting, sad.
The Rocky Mountain Car Wash is a family-owned business operating out of Wyoming and Montana for the last 20 years. Taylor Webb, who now works as chief of operations, remembers spending childhood at the car wash with her brother, learning about the importance of hard work.
It was a huge part of our life. All of our friends and family knew that, we were the car wash family and we all worked in it together.
Which is why the fire that destroyed their nearly completed car wash hit hard.
Pulling up to the scene was really difficult because at first we couldn't really look at it. I actually had to close my eyes, reopen them, and look at what am I looking at?
A report from the Central Valley Fire District said the fire was reported around 3:30 a.m. on Sunday and was under control within about an hour. While there were no reported injuries as a result of the fire, the report indicates evidence suggests the destruction was intentional.
It didn't have electric service, it didn't have gas service. That leads us to the conclusion that this had assistance in ignition.
The report stated evidence showed an unknown individual entered the mechanical room in the car wash where the fire was ignited, and the suspect fled. The Central Valley Fire District said the specific cause of the fire remains under investigation, which also involves the Belgrade Police Department.
We are conducting a criminal investigation. Investigation has been opened, so we're following leads, tips, conducting interviews, evaluating evidence, and so forth.
As for the family at Rocky Mountain Car Wash, they say yes, they've been knocked down, but they're coming back stronger than ever.
When this happened, it was like the wind got taken out from our sails, right? But the community outreach has just kept giving us positivity to just keep going forward, and that kind of helps you get back and going.
The Rocky Mountain Car Wash told me the best way to help support them during this difficult time is to come visit them when they open in 6 to 9 months. Reporting in Belgrade, Gabby Crevitt, MTN News.
According to Central Valley Fire District's report, the property loss is estimated at $750,000. If you have any information at all about the fire, call Belgrade PD at 406-388-4262, that is.
6:33 now. As vaccinations increase, so do the questions about individual rights versus the legal rights of private businesses.
Newsy's Amber Strong explores what businesses and employers can do and cannot do.
It seems the country is being divided, even if unintentionally, between the vaccinated and unvaccinated. from restaurants.
So when the guests come through the door, it's going to be the first question that we ask: are you guys vaccinated? Can you just show us a quick bit of proof?
To cruise lines like Norwegian, who are requiring all guests and crew members to be fully vaccinated. If you haven't had a COVID-19 vaccine, you may be wondering about your rights. Experts say that depends on the situation.
Can restaurants legally turn away a customer who cannot prove that they've been vaccinated?
There's no federal law prohibiting a private business from requiring that patrons show proof of vaccination. We're all familiar with no shoes, no shirt, no service. The key is that any such requirement be applied in a non-discriminatory manner against certain groups, for example, a person with a disability.
Instead of turning away all of those who have not been vaccinated, what we might see is restaurants requiring masks and social distancing for those who are not vaccinated or who have no proof of vaccination, which would really be a type of accommodation.
Then there's work. Legal experts say jobs can require a vaccination for current or future employees with some caveats.
Employers can impose a mandatory vaccination requirement, provided that they allow for certain exceptions for disability-related reasons and religious-related reasons.
And despite legal advice trending on Twitter, the federal privacy HIPAA law is not a medical catch-all.
Generally speaking, HIPAA does not cover private businesses vis-a-vis their patrons or customers, nor does HIPAA cover employers vis-a-vis their employees.
Asking an employee whether they've been vaccinated or not has not been found to be a medical inquiry or a medical exam under the Americans with Disabilities Act. So that question in and of itself of just whether an employee is vaccinated or not, that is something that's permissible.
Now, experts say as we navigate this new world of the vaccinated and the unvaccinated, some long-standing federal laws are likely to see legal challenges. Amber Strong, Newsy.
6:36 now, staying on topic. For more than 124 million Americans are now fully vaccinated, but there's some concern about how long shots will offer protection.
Newsy's Lindsay Theis looks at whether you'll need a booster shot.
We've heard one thing from the COVID vaccine drug makers. Booster shots are coming.
The variants will play a key role.
I want to make sure there are boost vaccines available in the fall so that we protect people.
But some scientists say not so fast.
Let's kind of calm down that dialogue just by looking carefully at the studies.
Dr. Monica Gandhi is an infectious disease specialist in San Francisco. She says as case numbers go down, we should not expect to see as many variants of the virus.
We have heard so much about variants that we think this coronavirus mutates really quickly. It actually doesn't.
At this time, there's no reason for anyone to go out and get a third dose of a vaccine.
Dr. Thomas Campbell leads the Colorado branch of Moderna's COVID vaccine research. He says only time will tell. Although variants like the one first found in South Africa may seem to drive the need for a booster, science can put that in check.
It's a very low proportion of all new infections. We have other variants here, but the other variants that are here are covered well by the existing vaccine.
It's also important to consider research on something called immunogenicity, which is how the immune system responds in the real world, outside lab settings. There's two arms of the immune system. One arm produces something called B cells, which produce antibodies, and another produces T cells, more specific to a virus. If either are not seeing the virus, the B and T cell counts go down over time. But they also make something called memory B cells and memory T cells.
And if they get stimulated, if they see anything that looks like this virus again, they also replicate, come roaring out, and kill the virus.
Early research shows recovered COVID patients and vaccinated people not only had those memory B and T cells months after the vaccine, but that they should stick around long term. One study called the memory B cell response, quote, robust and likely long-lasting. Experts tell Newsy more research will help. So far, the World Health Organization says there's not enough data about the long-term immunogenicity of the COVID vaccines out there with emergency approval. Lindsay Theis, Newsy, San Francisco.
Well, thank you. 6:38 now. On average, each year, drunk driving kills 10,000 people on U.S. roads and causes 300,000 injuries.
Now there's a bipartisan effort in Congress to address the issue. As Maya Rodriguez tells us, 2 bills are trying to reduce drunk driving with current technology.
This photo says it all. A beaming Katie Snyder Evans, weeks after giving birth nearly 4 years ago, finally able to hold her premature twin daughters together for the first time. And the last time.
On her way home from the hospital one night after visiting the twins, she was hit and killed by a drunk driver.
Katie's father, Ken Snyder, is on the faculty of Utah State University and now a technology advisor for Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
I'm not an independent commentator on this topic. I am a grieving father.
His latest focus? 2 bills with bipartisan sponsors in Congress, the HALT Act in the House and the RIDE Act in the Senate, which are looking to tap into technology to prevent drunk driving.
The goal is to mandate drunk driving prevention technology as standard as seatbelts and airbags on all new passenger vehicles.
According to MAD, there are currently 241 forms of vehicle technology, like lane assist or driver monitoring, that could be used to combat drunk driving by, in some cases, reprogramming that tech to safely pull an impaired driver over. The bills in Congress seek to create federal rules so that the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA, could begin that process.
It would require NHTSA to figure out what the best technology is. The bill is tech neutral, which means that they can look at all the different options and decide what they believe is best, and then mandate that technology to be placed on all new cars.
For its part, a major auto industry group says it would like to keep working on it. They declined an interview, but told us in a statement, quote, "We share the goal of eliminating alcohol-impaired driving. Automakers are working collaboratively with the U.S. Department of Transportation and other stakeholders to develop innovative technologies that have the potential to prevent alcohol-impaired driving, a prevention that comes too late for many families, including Ken Snyder's."
The woman that killed my daughter was driving 95 miles an hour on a city boulevard. The veering, the side swiping, the lane changing, any one of the simple technologies that are already available on cars would have shut her down, if only activated.
A possibility they don't want to see pass other families by. In Washington, I'm Maya Rodriguez.
It's a really interesting point. We're spending a lot of time in technology developing cars that people don't drive.
Right.
It would be nice if in the meantime that those that are driving it impaired couldn't drive. And that technology would be able to do that. I think it's a really interesting point.
Yeah.
We'll see how all that develops.
Fascinating. It really makes you think.
I find it interesting, for sure.
Well, 6:41 right now when Montana This Morning returns last year's hurricane season, one for the record books. What does 2021 look like? We'll take a closer look next.